Hello, Aquarius rising, and welcome to your astrology and tarot forecast for this full moon in Aquarius. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lisa Merrifield with Trails Edge Astrology, and on this channel, I help busy people make informed decisions by providing grounded and practical advice to help you align with the cosmic energy. These are general readings. If you are interested in knowing how this energy will impact you specifically, I do offer personal readings, and my website's in the show notes. I also offer a membership, which will open in November, where I will send you a reading like this, but specific to your chart every month. So if you're interested in that, keep watching, and that's something that's available. Before we get started, of course, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It helps the channel grow. It helps me know you're out there. It helps me know what you're interested in and what you want more of. So I greatly appreciate that. All right, let's talk about this full moon in Aquarius, this full moon in the sign of, in your rising sign, on your ascendant. So big energy for Aquarius risings, I think. Big energy for everybody, but particularly Aquarius risings. So, every August we have a full moon in Aquarius. And for you, that full moon triggers something about how you show up for yourself and how you show up for other people. It illuminates some piece of that. And that Leo Aquarius axis is all about how we are individually creative, how we're creative in groups, and that kind of abundant, like building sorts of energy. This full moon is particularly interesting because it is square Uranus. And Uranus adds an element of surprise or of liberation or of like breaking through tension. And it doesn't always do it in the prettiest of ways. It can be a little chaotic. So Uranus right now is in the part of your chart that has been hit a couple times already this year. In April, Jupiter met Uranus in Taurus. In July, Mars met Uranus in Taurus. So we're seeing this energy kind of come up. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if something that started building this spring and summer um, gets a boost or gets a shift with this full moon. And of course, it will impact you differently depending on what else you've got around those Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus placements. But with an Aquarius rising, I suspect that it's going to show up for you in some way, in some kind of new, or you're seeing something a different way. And definitely there will be ripple effects from other people around you, from things happening in the world, from this moon. So if that wasn't enough, this moon is also co-present with what's called a T-square, which is a really tense aspect in the sky. So Venus and Saturn are opposite each other, and they are square Mars and Jupiter. So Mars and Jupiter come together on August 14th, and they will square Saturn and Venus with this full moon. And so that adds a whole other layer of potentially tense energy to the tension and the release we're already going to feel with this moon. So I'm not going to tease out all of what that T-square means, but I really do want to focus on the Jupiter-Saturn square piece of it. So back in December of 2020, Jupiter and Uranus met in the sky in what's called the Great Conjunction. And Jupiter and Uranus meet in the sky every 20 years. And then we start a new 20-year Jupiter-Saturn cycle. Jupiter and Saturn are form the structures in our lives in different ways. I like to think of it like a balloon. So Saturn is the latex part of the balloon. It's the structure. It's the boundary of the balloon, and Jupiter is that. So you need both of them. You need the expansive energy, the growth energy, but you also need the latex of the balloon to hold it in so that it can grow. And so It's that kind of energy, and it depends on where it hits in your chart. But for you, as an Aquarius rising, it hit either in your 12th house or your first house. And so it really was a seeding moment of probably some significant changes. So, so I mention this because now we are at what's called the opening square. So so the planets met in December of 2020 at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which is where Pluto is now. Um, and now they are at an opening square where they are at a crisis or an adjustment point. So this is like the first test of whatever it is that you're building or whatever it is you brought in with that 2020, end of 2020, beginning of 2021 energy, whatever this next cycle is looking like for you. Um, and um, and so it's particularly interesting with this full moon, with a Uranian flavor, with something about freedom and liberation, to have this adjustment point, like what has worked, what hasn't worked, what do we need to release, what do we need to bring in more of, how do we continue moving the story forward. So the Jupiter Saturn square happens 3 times. This is just the first of those. It'll happen later this year and then again in June of 2020, and that's pretty common for a transit like this to hit 3 times because of the retrograde action. Um, so it's not a one and done, I guess is what I'm saying. Like there's some adjustment that we will be doing over the next year as we figure out what this next 20-year structural journey looks like for us. So, so as I pull cards and as you think about this new moon, I invite you to think back to April and to think back to July and, what has come in this year in that kind of Uranian flavor. And then the cards I'm going to pull, I'm really looking at this larger 20-year cycle. And this Jupiter Saturn conjunction and then this opening square. So what is it that needs to be adjusted? What is it that needs to be adjusted in the near term so that we can really build and fulfill our purpose? Okay, does that make sense? So so think back to December and January of 2020 and what you were bringing in and kind of what structural things you've been building since that time, what changes have happened, and then we'll pull some cards to see how we might work. Right, we are pulling from the Mind's Eye Tarot today, and I'm going to pause and pull some cards. All right, I'm back. All right, so we're doing a 5-card spread here. And the first thing we are going to ask is what has manifested since the Great Conjunction? So what manifested since 2020 when Jupiter and Saturn came together? And this is interesting, Aquarius rising. You got the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is really a card about celebration, about liberation, about coming together, about building something beautiful and really embracing some celebratory energy. Which is interesting to me because there's so much transformation in the Aquarian part of our chart right now, and you are an Aquarius rising, so I'm curious about that. But yeah, so something you're bringing in some kind of celebratory energy, or you maybe it's just like finding yourself in a new way, or stepping into your power in a new way. I don't know. Yeah, you tell me. But that's the card I got, was that Four of Wands. Something about celebration. So something joyous, something like you're bringing in a new union or a new chapter that is likely to bring you some peace or stability or something like that. Some wands are about passion and creativity. So maybe you're stepping into some new passion and creativity. You've had some union around moving in that direction. I don't know. You tell me. So since the Great Conjunction, January 2020, you brought in some Four of Wands celebratory energy. What do you need to see at this crisis point? So this first opening square in whatever this journey you're on is, and you got the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands is tension, is conflict. Um, I read the Five of Wands as productive conflict. So as conflict that helps push you forward and take you to the next level. So I don't necessarily see this as a bad card. Like it's conflict, and conflict no, it doesn't feel good. But I feel like what you need to see at this crisis point is that what you are, like the struggles you are having right now, it's not all wine and roses. It's not all Four of Wands. Like there's some struggle that you're feeling. And I think this card is inviting you to look at um, how that struggle might help you move forward, what it is about. Maybe you're feeling really angsty, like you're trying to build something or you're trying to go somewhere and you've just got like there's all this energy in this part of your chart right now, all this energy that just feels maybe heavy or feels like pressure. And so there's some invitation to as we come to this crisis point, as we come to this point where we are moving forward on this journey, um, how is that how is that tension serving you, and how can you work with that tension to move forward in a productive way, even if it doesn't feel good at the moment? Like, what is that? How is this moving you towards where you want to go? So you need to see something about the conflict and what it is pushing you and helping you to do. All right, what do you need to release with this full moon, with this square from Saturn and Jupiter, from Jupiter to Saturn? What do you need to release in order to embrace this next chapter? And you got the Ace of Pentacles. So the aces are the most pure form of an energy, and pentacles are about material reality. They are about jobs or money or building something, maybe starting a new business. And so there's something, but this is something you need to release. Are you holding on to something physical too tightly? Are you, maybe is this conflict around money or something like that? Is there something or maybe you're being too literal? Is there something that you need to release that is in the material world? And I'm not saying quit your job. I'm not saying, like blow your life savings or anything like that. But is there something about that energy, um, about something in the material world that needs to be released in order for you to move into the next chapter? Maybe some limiting beliefs around what your material world needs to look like um, could be important with this full moon, with this Jupiter Saturn square. All right. This is interesting. Next, what opportunities are getting ready to emerge? And you got the Eight of Cups. So the Eight of Cups is about walking away from something. So that makes me even more, now that I'm thinking about this. The Eight of Cups is asking you to leave something that has previously worked for you, previously been good, um, to walk away from something that might not make intuitive sense to anybody else. Like it might look just fine the way it is, but the energy is asking you to walk away, to leave it behind. And I bet you know what that thing is. I bet maybe it's something you've been trying to leave. Maybe there's some fear around it, or there's something that has held you back. But in this energy, over the next year, as we have these Jupiter Saturn squares and this opening square, I think you're being asked to leave something, to walk away, to let something go. And it might be hard, but that's what is needed in order to really embrace this next chapter and to move into whatever is coming your way. All right. And what is the final message from the universe? And Aquarius rising, you got the moon. The final energy is the moon, and the moon is very much about going with the flow. The moon is not necessarily very Aquarian, because Aquarians tend to be analytical and very, very logical and very, the architects of the ideal. And the moon is saying, just release into the energy. Go with the unknown. Don't try and necessarily control the fate, control the narrative. Yeah, something about just like take the next right step. So, releasing something like releasing whatever this Ace of Pentacles is, whatever material thing you're holding on to because of fear or necessity or whatever it is. Yeah, the moon says just trust, have a little faith. We go with the flow. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. Yeah, so there's an element of trust in this invitation with this full moon and with this Jupiter Saturn square. All right, Aquarius rising. I hope that was helpful. I'm super interested. Let me know how this is showing up for you. And of course, if this was helpful, give me a like, give me a subscribe, help me grow this channel, help me get my message out. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks. Bye.